Hello and welcome, everyone. This is a special explainer that we've designed to feel like a mini professional development workshop just for you. We're going to dive into the incredible work of John Mighton, a mathematician who is totally flipping the script on how we think about teaching math.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start by taking on a really common and honestly damaging myth that holds so many of our students back. Then, we'll shift into a new philosophy for teaching. I'll give you a practical toolkit you can literally use in your classroom tomorrow. And finally, we'll look at the amazing results this whole approach can get.
So, first things first, let's talk about the single biggest roadblock in math education. This idea that you're either a math person or you're not, that it's something you're born with instead of something you build.
I mean, we've all heard this, right? We see it in our classrooms, parents say it, students say it, maybe we've even thought it ourselves. But what if that core belief, that some kids just get math and others never will, is completely and utterly wrong?
John Mighton says this is one of the most destructive ideas in all of education. Think about it. It creates this self-fulfilling prophecy. A student believes they can't do it, so they don't really try, which of course means they don't succeed, which just proves their original belief. It's a really vicious cycle.
And this really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? It forces us to look at our own language, our own beliefs as teachers. The simple act of labeling a kid, even if we don't mean any harm, can put a ceiling on what they think they can achieve. It's a huge reminder of the power our words have.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, let's pivot to a whole new way of thinking. This is how we start building a foundation for success for every single student in our room. You know, what's kind of amazing is that the guy who created this whole method, John Mighton, he is living proof that potential isn't fixed. He was not a math person. In fact, he was so bad at math, he actually dropped it in university. But then he got inspired by the poet Sylvia Plath, of all people, who taught herself to write using this super disciplined, step-by-step approach. He thought, hey, maybe I can do that with math, and he retaught himself everything. So this right here, this is the core philosophical shift we have to make. It's moving away from that fixed mindset where you think talent is just something you're born with, and moving toward a growth mindset where we believe that intelligence is like a muscle. It can be developed and strengthened with the right exercises and effort.
Mighton also noticed something really cool. Students don't always learn in a nice, neat, straight line. Sometimes they'll be stuck on a concept for a while and it feels like nothing's getting through. And then, boom, they make this huge, sudden jump in understanding. He called them nonlinear leaps, kind of like in chaos theory, where one tiny change, that one little aha moment, can set off a massive chain reaction of learning. So, the big question is, how do we create the right conditions for those leaps to happen? This is where we get into the practical stuff. Let's open up the toolkit and look at strategies you can start using to build that foundation of success for every learner.
Okay, there are 4 pillars to the JUMP method. First, and this is absolutely crucial, you have to build a rock-solid foundation. Second, you break down every single complex idea into tiny, manageable steps. The goal is to basically guarantee success. Third, you're constantly fostering that growth mindset we talked about. And finally, you create a classroom that feels safe and supportive, where mistakes aren't failures, they're just part of learning.
The real magic of the JUMP method is how it takes these big, scary topics and makes them totally accessible. So let's get our hands dirty and walk through an example that I'm sure we've all seen students stumble over, adding fractions. See how this works? By breaking the operation down into these super simple, almost mechanical steps, any student can do it. There's no guesswork. They just follow the recipe, they get the right answer, and that little win gives them a jolt of confidence. It creates this awesome, positive feedback loop of success that builds on itself.
And let's be really clear here, this is not about rote memorization or creating math robots. This step-by-step method, it's a scaffold, it's the training wheels. It builds the confidence and the skills that then allow students to step back, see the bigger picture, recognize patterns, and really develop a deep conceptual understanding of what's going on.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But does this structured, confidence-first approach actually work in a real classroom with real kids? Well, the proof is in the pudding, and the results are, honestly, they're kind of mind-blowing.
So let me tell you a story about one of Mighton's very first students. Her name was Lisa. When he met her, she was in the 6th grade, but functionally, she was at a 1st grade level in math. She couldn't even reliably count by 2s. She was terrified of math and had basically been told she just wasn't smart. Now look at this.
After just 100 hours of tutoring with the jump method, think about that. That's less than the math instruction time in a single school year. Her entire life changed. She jumped 8 grade levels, going from that remedial class to a grade 9 academic math program.
And Lisa's story wasn't a fluke. Mighton tried this out with an entire grade 3 class. After only 5 weeks, every single student, and this included kids who had been labeled as slow learners, scored over 80% on a fractions test that was made for 6th and 7th graders.
When you look at these stories all together, I mean, from the student who was told he couldn't handle higher math and went on to get a PhD in it, to Lisa, to an entire classroom mastering concepts years ahead of schedule, it proves something huge. The achievement gap we see so often isn't a reflection of our students' ability, it's a reflection of our teaching methods.
So what does this all mean for you in your classroom on a Tuesday morning? It means you have the power. You hold the keys. Just by shifting your own mindset away from this myth of ability and using these practical tools to build confidence step by tiny step, you can be the catalyst that unlocks the incredible, often hidden potential in every single one of your students.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. This whole thing, it's about so much more than math. If we've been this wrong about something as fundamental as math ability, what other false limits have we put on our students? And for that matter, what other false limits have we put on ourselves? It's a question that really challenges us to rethink what human potential is all about.